Welcome to Close Listening. I'm Zach Morgenstern, joined as always by Ludwig von B. Not too long ago, I finally watched the Jimmy Cliff movie, The Harder They Come, and listened to the soundtrack record and posted a review for it. And I thought at the time, okay, I really like this. Let's see if we can find some more Jimmy Cliff. So the next Jimmy Cliff album I was able to get my hands on is Rebirth, which is his most recent record, though it's 10 years old. So it makes me wonder whether another could be in the works. So David Jeffries, who reviewed this for AllMusic, spoke highly of the record, and he compared it to Johnny Cash's American Recordings. For those not familiar, Johnny Cash's American Recordings refers to his final series of largely cover songs of him singing with producer Rick Rubin, really simple arrangements with a real mournful sound, but they're considered some of the greatest recordings of his career, and they came out just as he died. Now, one could see a similarity in this is a record by a veteran artist where maybe he hasn't been getting good reviews for a long time, and he finally comes out and puts out a really fun album. But that's kind of where the similarities end with Jimmy Cliff and the Johnny Cash American Recordings, because where there's always an air of mortality on the American recordings. You know, Johnny Cash sings about the apocalypse and when the man comes around and ain't no grave that can hold my body down. While this record speaks to Jimmy Cliff's history, it doesn't give you the impression that he's going anywhere. His voice is just as young and beautiful as ever, and he seems like he's having just as much fun as ever. This is not the sad, reflective Johnny Cash singing Hurt. So I wanted to just quickly go through the various tracks on the record. I think the first track on this record might be the weakest. It's called World Upside Down. So it turns out it's a cover of another song by a reggae artist named Joe Higgs. However, Jimmy Cliff changed the lyrics to make it more political, but unfortunately the lyric writing is kind of sloppy. So, you know, I like, for instance, the juxtaposition of the words world spinning round and world being upside down from the original chorus. I like his lyrics, oh, what fools we mortals be, morality is in demise, because it's just a nice wordplay with the weird on the page similarity between mortal and morality. And yet he gets weirdly lazy with the next line, morality is in demise, immorality is on the rise, like contrasting morality against immorality, like they're basically the same words, and they're also, you know, vague, and the whole thing doesn't have great rhythm to it. It seems like the problem with this song, and perhaps you could say this shows up in a lot of popular reggae, in Bob Marley, in Jimmy Cliff, is that they're both trying to keep political, and they're just trying to also have this happy sort of vague spirit that a lot of people can get into. So Jimmy Cliff speaks very broadly about a lot of world issues in this track, be it environmental destruction, be it poverty, be it economic inequality. So he has to bring in a lot of big words. He doesn't sing about them with enough specificity to make the political element interesting, but he uses too many big political words to make the song particularly catchy as a song. That said, the rest of the record is pretty great. The next song is called One More. It's kind of a dark, motivational song. You know, there is one more arrow in my bow. And, you know, it feels like something that could have been in The Harder They Come. You know, there's a dark, violent song to it, but it's meant to be a motivational song. It's, you know, don't give up in the face of oppression. Cry No More, the next track, has some nice sound mixing with the falsetto. Track 4, Children's Bread, it sort of mixes nursery rhymes with a sort of protest against poverty thing going on. They took the children's bread and fed it to the dogs. And there's also an old lady that swallowed the fly thing going on, because after the dogs, he brings in cats and he brings in rats. This song is also specifically a protest song of the Occupy Wall Street movement. I guess it would have been recorded in 2011, probably released in 2012. Now there's a gathering on Main Street, shuffling on Wall Street to a new drum beat, turning up the heat now. Now the weak get strong, singing a new song. Time has come for us to right the wrong. The next song on the record is called Bang, kind of a similar idea to One More. It's sort of a motivational, dark, but ultimately good feelings kind of song. It just plays with the musical oomph of the notion of bang. So, you know, come out at the world just as the world came out from the Big Bang. Track number 6 is a cover of the Clash song Guns of Brixton. I remember liking that song back when I heard it, but back when I heard it, I hadn't seen The Harder They Come, so I didn't know to pay attention to the lyrics, which reference that movie. So it's just sort of this fun history thing turning around. Jimmy Cliff takes the reggae world by storm, inspires groups like the Clash. The Clash sing a song about him. They have a hit with it, and then Jimmy Cliff says, "Yeah, I like that song, so I'm going to come back and sing the song about my younger self." Track number 7 is called Reggae Music, and it's not so much a song, more like a history lesson with a beat. That said, I really appreciated the history lesson when I looked at the words. So Jimmy Cliff name drops the Chinese-Jamaican music producer Leslie Kong, and supposedly the story of Jimmy Cliff's career starting is that he was singing outside of Leslie Kong's ice cream parlor in Kingston. And Leslie Kong liked his singing so much, he's like, you know what? I'm going to stop running this ice cream parlor and I'm going to be a music producer and you're going to be my great star. God, I wish we could all get discovered that way. The other interesting thing is, so he name drops a bunch of reggae musicians in the song: Winston Wright, Jackie Jackson, Hux Brown, and Winston Grennan. And as I mentioned in my last Jimmy Cliff video, there's this weird thing where a lot of people in North America know that reggae is an important style of music, but ask us to name anyone other than Bob Marley, and we come out looking kind of bad. So I won't read anything into Bob Marley not being name dropped here, but the song does make you stop and think and want to look up who are some of these other names.
And it turns out these are session musicians, not reggae frontmen, so guys who would have played bass or guitar drums with Jimmy Cliff, which explains in part why they're less familiar, but my general point about reggae still stands.
Track number 8 starts with a great chant where he spells out the word outside and sings about being an outsider, just another sort of uplifting chant. Track number 9 does that thing I love where you take the title of a famous song, but then just make a completely different song. So it's called Rebel Rebel, but it's not the David Bowie song. Jimmy Cliff said that his image has always been about a contrast between the rude boy, you know, the bad guy fighting because he's been spurned, and the nice hippie singer. And when you hear about rebels, you think more about violent revolutionaries. Yet the lyrics of this song, and despite the minor key, sort of get at a more hippie kind of vibe. If the rebel in me can touch the rebel in you, and the rebel in you can touch the rebel in me, and the rebel we is going to set us free. Track 10 is called Ruby Soho. It continues this theme of tributing the long history of reggae music. It's about a girlfriend losing her boyfriend because he loves his music career more. This is another cover song. It was by a band called Rancid, who I don't know much about, but I believe their lead singer, their lead singer, Tim Armstrong, is the producer on this record. So it's unsurprising that he wanted to hear Jimmy Cliff do a rendition of his song. The next song on the album is called Blessed Love, and again, sort of combines the two sides of Jimmy Cliff. It's a sort of hippie, universalist, spiritual song where he names all the people who are blessed, including the gangs, you know, bless them up, you know, give the blessings to these people fighting to make their lives better, no matter whether they're good guys or bad guys. Let's bring peace to the world. It's a good feels kind of song. And track number 12 is called Ship is Sailing. It's sort of a beautiful yacht rocky kind of song, but if you look at the lyrics, there's certainly a hint in there that maybe Jimmy Cliff is announcing his retirement. But who knows if that's actually what it means. But again, this song speaks to just how different this is from that record it was compared to in the Music Review. This is not a goodbye like Johnny Cash. It might be a goodbye in the sense that Jimmy Cliff said, I loved reggae, I want you to appreciate the history of reggae, and I want to go enjoy the rest of my life in quiet. Who knows? Or it could just be a nice little song about sailing a ship. But overall, you know, it's hard to reproduce gems. Like the harder they come, you can do it if you really want. The harder they come in particular is a piece of genius because it's simple, so it's easy to remember, yet it's sort of making a very specific political point about how a certain kind of religion is used to distract us from all the oppression we deal with in regular life. And sometimes the only way people can overcome their oppression or convince themselves they have is becoming a rude boy, the bad boy criminal rebel like Ivan, and the harder they come. So none of the songs on here quite reproduce the magic of those songs. But there's a lot on here that would be fun to cover, fun to remember through the years. One More with its piercing lyric about that one more arrow in my bow, you know, the children's bread, as a nice, fun little reggae protest song. And Ship is Sailing, a nice, beautiful, feel-good way to end the record. I'm Zach Morgenstern. This is Ludwig Bombi. See you next time.